So, John Wall officially retired from the NBA today, and of course, being in the DMV, Wall was the number one pick of Washington. He had great moments here. He was a staple in the community, which is why he will always be loved in the DMV. Unfortunately for Washington, under ownership of both Abe Poland and Ted Leonsis, they have tended to mess up things with signature players on the basketball side. Uh, they didn't do a good job with how John Wall, and I know he had been injured, and we had COVID and those type of things, and then they traded in Houston shortly after his mother died. It's just there was never a great ending, and that was just handled so poorly by the front office and by management. And that's in the long lines. Chris Webber, that situation was also mishandled, where he had the problems off the court. There was a sexual assault charge with him, or sexual assault accusation with him and Juwan Howard, that a grand jury never brought to trial. And then there was some weed found in his car over there in PG County. And then eventually the front office and Weber snipe at each other, so they get rid of Weber for pennies on the dollar. And they mismanaged that. Gilbert Arenas, that's the one pass. And those teams, I'll give them a pass on that, because Gilbert Arenas ruined that team. That was completely self-inflicted by Gilbert Arenas. But it's just in my life, when the Wizards slash Bullets have had a team to get excited about, whether it was the Weber, Howard, Rod Strickland team, whether it was the Arenas, Jameson, Butler, Wall, and Beal, and then you had like Gortat on that team, like teams you can like. And I know the high point will always be the Game 6 game winner, the 3-pointer on a play that was going nowhere with about 3.5 seconds left, that forced the Game 7 against the Boston Celtics. But it was the inability to keep teams together, the inability to know where to strategically add, that has done the Wizards slash Bullets away. So when it comes to John Wall, and all he did for Washington on and off the floor, I think there will be certain sects of the fan base that will always properly appreciate what John Wall meant to Washington. And there's going to be sects of the fan base that sells it short. And that's sad, because John Wall deserved better, and I wish that team could have stayed together just a little bit longer, give him a little bit longer, and have a smarter front office. You know, that could have changed it. I'm not saying they would have won an NBA championship, even though if you heard Wall will tell you that they thought they could have beaten the Cavaliers that year in the Eastern Conference Finals. You know, the season that ended with the Game 7 loss to Boston. He swears they would have beaten the Cavaliers, which obviously would have sent them to the NBA Finals. So, there are some fond memories here. There are some competitive teams here, and as you see Washington build from the studs, it's easy to forget that there was some good times in that arena, and John Wall was part of that. It's Mark Swash, MTC Media.